Forward begins with a hard reality check. Dilapidated buildings, neglected highways, trash strewn on streets and in neighborhoods. This is a St. Louis regional problem. It's really the first impression that someone makes when they visit our home from around the region, the country, or the world. I'm David Amilati, and right now I'm in a growing area, the Grove. We're near Manchester and Kings Highway. And what's one of the first things that you see when you come this way, anyone really, it's eyesores like this. There's trash all over the ground. And why is that okay? For too long, too much has been overlooked in our region. It's always, that's their problem, or my area doesn't look like that. The fact is, this is all of our problem. Throughout this new adventure here on Forward, we've heard it from many of you, division is further dividing us. No matter your zip code, your neighborhood, we are all St. Louis. Tonight, one man says that's what we all must remember. Few may not know him, but he knows this area. It's home, it's made him, and he says he wants to make all of St. Louis better. Why does St. Louis matter to you?
I grew up here in St. Louis. I grew up in Bridgeton, Missouri. I went to school here. I started all my high school businesses here. I met my childhood sweetheart here. I met Jane here. I've raised my kids in St. Louis, and it's been a great place to raise my kids. And maybe also important, I started Clayco here. I'm not really sure, 40 years ago that I could have started from scratch design and construction company that could have grown into the kind of company that it is today in any other city in America. St. Louis was a great launch pad.
What does St. Louis give Clayco you couldn't get anywhere else?
We have incredible educated community. We have incredible skilled labor. We are blessed with some of the best union construction workers in the nation. Great apprenticeship programs, training programs. And, when I started Clayco 40 years ago, we had 50, of the largest, public and private companies in the United States. We probably had more Fortune 100 companies in St. Louis when I started. So the territory was rich. It's a very different scene today, but I'm still optimistic about the area.
Clark built his company in St. Louis, but his business now operates in a world where cities compete for capital, talent, and speed. When you think of Clayco's rise, how much of that story is tied to St. Louis?
Well, obviously the formative years, both in a good way and a negative way. There was a lot of things to do in St. Louis in terms of work. You had Anheuser-Busch, you had Ralston-Purina, General Dynamics, TWA was here. We had a major international airport, one of the largest airports in the country in the mid-'80s. And so it was a giant launch pad. In 1991, I became very disenchanted with the direction that St. Louis was headed. I just felt like the community lacked a cohesive strategy. And by 1993, 85% of Clayco's work was geographically diversified away from St. Louis. And that's still true today.
What are the biggest problems and what are the fixes?
Well, there's a lot of problems. I'm not sure how to prioritize them. I would say, for me, the biggest concern is a lack of a cohesive strategy and a message. The reason that Clayco has been successful, all great businesses have a strategic plan that is cohesive and is shared by a large group of people. And St. Louis lacks a cohesive strategy. And I think to have a thriving community, everybody has to feel safe all the time.
Do we have a crime safety issue here, or is it a crime safety perception issue?
That's true across the nation. Violent crime is going down. Definitely murders are going down. But I get back to the point, do you feel safe? Do you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable walking around downtown at 8 o'clock at night? People are driving recklessly across our community. It's indicative of a place that feels a little bit lawless. I think another thing that's very noticeable is the amount of trash on the streets. I was in Africa for the last 3 weeks of the year in 2025. And there is more trash in public spaces and on the streets and highways of St. Louis than there is in the 2 countries I was in Africa. That's a problem. That's not just littering. It's not just carelessness. It's not even a maintenance issue. It's an issue of trash in the brain. When you don't have pride in your community, you throw trash out the window.
Bob Clark will admit he carries influence and he's ready to use more of it. What he's eyeing that will impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in our area, next on Forward.